Welcome to the Global Extinction Awareness System. You are watching Superthreat number 1, Quarantine. In 2019, Respiratory Distress Syndrome, or REDS, is here, and it's not going anywhere. Outbreaks are just something we live with. Hardest hit tropical and subtropical cities. GS volunteers report from the front lines of the quarantine superthreat. GS volunteer Berg Montre reports on the recent arrival of a REDS relief team in Stockholm, where the number of citizens living with REDS has topped 15,000. In addition to setting up testing centers, REDS Relief will organize local support groups to help patients and loved ones cope with the chronic symptoms of the pandemic, such as violent coughing fits, wasting, and severe pain in the extremities. Stockholm is the first city outside of the tropical and subtropical hot zones to receive official REDS relief, which also targets the long-term social and business impacts of REDS in regions where the workforce has been devastated. As the incurable illness spreads to new cities and the symptoms linger, there is growing concern that REDS relief alone will be unable to meet the global demand for critical assistance. Berg Montre writes, "We're grateful to the REDS relief team, but they are already stretched too thin. We desperately need other kinds of help. What can we do in our own communities to provide REDS relief and support?" GS volunteer Greenblade is broadcasting news from Atlanta. The giant Pacific Atlantic Insurance Company announced today that it will no longer offer healthcare packages to employers with offices in the red zone. Pacific Atlantic cites the costly long-term debilitation suffered by REDS victims, which has already led to the collapse of local health insurers in Florida, Texas, and Louisiana. Greenblade says, "This is a blow for workers everywhere, not just in the red zone. Anyone who works for a global company is likely to lose coverage now. Without traditional insurance, how can we pool our resources to protect our health?" GS volunteer Kalu Samu is blogging from the Kenyan coast city of Mombasa, where private armed forces have flooded the city. These mercenaries are allegedly funded by the Saudis and are trying to quarantine the Nubian ethnic community. Politicians are chalking it up to the same old tribal conflict, but other GS volunteers have reported similar events unfolding in New Orleans and Marseille. Samu writes, "It's the combination of poverty, slums, and freelance armies that's producing all of these powder keg responses to contagion. How can we protect ourselves in this outbreak without taking up arms?" GS volunteer Alfreda reports that the Russian anti-REDS bacteriophage, MIDO4, has unexpectedly turned up in Pakistan. MIDO4, one of the only known viruses capable of infecting and killing the bacteria that cause respiratory distress syndrome, was developed last year by 2 Russian teens using a cheap do-it-yourself biology toolkit. The Russian government arrested them when they started distributing it through open-source channels. Russian officials cited the dangers of unlicensed reproduction of any virus, but open-source scientists claim the Russians really want to own the virus. Elfrida says, "Pakistan needs this virus. I don't care how it got here. It just goes to show that governments can't decide who lives and who dies. How can we quickly invent and share new cures worldwide without introducing new dangers? Together we can survive the quarantine superthreat." GS volunteers are organizing now at superstructgame.org. Join us to invent the future of health.